right? That harmony is something that I think is very essential to structure for the future. You also mentioned something around forecasting and literacy and
of the
people involved in it.
It is not only left to the few people who manage or who coordinate whatever that is coming out from that tech point of view. Everybody, the MD, whosoever members of the top management, they are equally aware, at least to some extent. So when an IT person is speaking, we could understand, we could make a sense of what he or she is saying.
Phenomenal. And I hope you've been enjoying the moment, insightful remarks from our speakers, fantastic and phenomenal folks. We hope you're really enjoying your time hearing what we have to say about the boardroom for today. Before we go, I have one final question for Temitope, and then of course I would like us all to touch on this if we are possible because of our time as well. So the concern or the topic of sustainability has come to stay. It's not just a buzzword anymore, right? Any longer. In 2026 now, how do we describe a successful boardroom in connection to sustainability?
Thank you very much. So I guess where to start from is to understand that sustainability is something that has been for quite a while, really. And so many frameworks that have been developed in respect to this, whether you're talking about the UN SDG or the Global Reporting Initiative, maybe the newest, which is the IFRS S1S2, that is investor focused. And the reality is that it's looking beyond the short-termism that people do when they come to business, right? Especially when you look at founders in this part of the world, you would see that sometimes the businesses do not outlive them, right? But you'll find some organizations that have been there since the 1800s, right? That are still in business even now. And so what exactly made it very important for them to have been able to stay the course? It's because they took sustainability seriously. Maybe it wasn't tax sustainability at the time. We've used some words like governance, right? Which is one pillar of ESG, for instance, right? But more important is that we also see the environment changing in respect to climate change. And so it's important to emphasize things around environmental sustainability. And of course, the social environment as well, which is, but we don't talk about sustainability just in the sense of ESG alone, because the economies also must make sense, right? So you see people talking about the economy as one strong pillar of sustainability as well. And so what makes a business successful now is not looking at things in that short way that, you just want to make profits. The question is, are you able to stay the course? Are you going to have a long-term business that would outlive the founder, for instance? And then you can start thinking of how the workers feel about the business and how they own it, right? That's very critical, right? And the other important thing to also look at is that how resilient is that business with respect to the environmental crisis that we're having, depending on the nature of business it is, right? For instance, people who are into oil and gas will think that, as long as the crisis continues between Iran and the US and Israel, then they're fine. But that's not necessarily so, because you could get to a point where you don't even have people who would buy those products anymore. And, I typically will tell people that the reason why we're no longer in the Stone Age is not because there are no stones anymore. It's because we have grown beyond that. The oil age came, and now we're in the data age, right? So soon enough, you will find that people will not find the use for oil anymore. It might be there, but there will be other things, because we're already thinking of renewable energy. We're already having EVs, right?
EVs, yes. So
you've got to think about the business in that way and how it responds to the changes around you. And that's what sustainability is really about. It helps with innovation as well. So if you think about it that way, it then makes you to have a business that is forward looking, and it's beyond just sitting with doing something that you have called active inertia before, where you keep going back to the same thing that you're doing, and then you say, if you do it the same way, we'll get that same result. But you've got to do something something different to get a different result. And it's now about looking at the very different topics of ESG and how they impact on your business, whether it's with respect to branding or innovation or IT governance, like we talked about, several other things as they impact the business, whether it's from the social lens or the environmental lens or the governance lens or even the economy, right? How does a business, for instance, in Nigeria, makes itself resilient to the fact that we're going to be having elections early next year, right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that is also important.
Yeah.
So it makes you to begin to look at your business in a forward-looking manner rather than just stay close to, this is what we do and we'll continue to do it that same way and we'll get the same results. If you want a different result, then you have to think sustainability.
Fantastic. I think that's very fantastic. And that brings us to the idea of pestle analysis, right? Where you do your pestle and just basically pestle analysis, the policies, governmental policies, what could change, the economical changes that can happen and the technology and then all that. So for succession planning and all that. I think that's very, very phenomenal. I don't know if Tomisi want to add something to that.
Yes, I would speak from the people angle. So yes, in the boardroom, how we think beyond the next quarter, right? Now, James Ope mentioned something. The family was working based in river states, right? Where, fund schooling and what have you. Now, let's start looking beyond. So right now, at some point, right, few years back, it crossed a few people's mind that AI was going to do something, right? But a lot of people did nothing about it. We waited for it to happen. Right? Rules became redundant. Rules were no longer relevant. So how prepared are we for the future to ensure a sustainable business? So when you are coming up with your ESG initiatives, right, how are you planning for your future? What is that talent that will be scarce for you, right? What is that resource that will be scarce for you? So can you then strategize in such a way that this is the funding we are providing for so that we can begin to invest in those talents? And when we need it, it is readily available.
Most correct.
Look internally as well. When you look beyond the next quarter, you're looking at the future, right? What is essential? Who are your key talents that can embrace more, that their job capacity can be enlarged, right? How are you preparing them for the sustainability of the growth? So can we start looking beyond? Because really, you might want the numbers, right? But without the people, right?
It's most correct. Work. Most definitely.
Exactly.
Most definitely.
Why don't you start looking at the people, the capability, the talents that you need for the future? It means that you need to be aware of your future needs. You need to have different investments in different places that alerts you. And that's what your board members should be capable of doing, right? Have a diverse board member and looking at it from all angles. In the next 10 years, this is what we are seeing. This is what we need to prepare for. This is the talent that we need. These are the resources that we need. Can we then start actively building it so that we can create a business that outlives all of us?
Phenomenal. I think to just do a follow-up question to that, talking about succession planning and all that for the leadership and all that. There is talent war, right? And I'll talk about the jackpot syndrome, right? A lot of people are, relocating out of the country and traveling, and now with the volatility of the economic landscape, how do you still prepare people? Can you still plan for people you don't know that maybe they will just jackpot next week or something like that? How do you still ensure that you put those things into consideration?
One of my colleagues said that, employees will stay in your rights, right? So you would have the perfect plan, but eventually, those that will still leave you would leave you. And it looks like you don't have a plan. Can we start thinking creatively, right? You have employees, you have key talents that can support you from wherever they jackpot to. So what sort of conversations can you then start to have with your talent, right? Yes, this is it. And then you can do this for a period of time. And when we have that arrangement, I know that another succession plan that I have developed, I have created, is ready to be implemented in full force. So let's start thinking creatively, because a lot of things will happen. It's no longer business as usual. Yes, I am relocating, right? But a lot of people relocating as well, they have those times, I know of a colleague that was working only Nigerian job, right, from Canada. And it worked well for her until she was able to deliver on the commitment to the company. So again, it's about that creativity. Let's think beyond. Oh yes,
I hope I'll be able to convince an investor. It's fantastic though, but it's daunting at the same time,
But the things that we need to do, we just have to do it. Business justification with the numbers to say this is what we need to do now for us to be able to get those
business case, and all that. Fantastic. Thank you very much to all our speakers. They've spoken really exceptionally well, and I'm sure that it's been very insightful for online listeners. We are going to bring back to you the next episode, and we're going to be talking about corporate governance versus corporate politics. It's for now. I would like to Ezekiel, Temitope, and Tomisi, thank you for coming on the show. I hope that you've had a very good time, and I don't know if you have something to say to our speaker, to our online listeners.
So from my side, thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here. What I would like to say as my parting statement is the fact that let the board be put under pressure. When the board is put under, I know what I'm saying, that devolves to the senior management. The senior management doesn't have any alternative. The same thing will cascade to everyone. So when we have a goal from the point of strategy, execution will be enterprise-wide. Everybody will put his hands on it because the board knows that if this doesn't work, the senior management knows that if it doesn't work, the board has a way of replacing them. And the board equally knows that they have to deliver to the investors as well as the shareholders. So, from that pattern, things begin to take shape, initiatives are welcome, equity, is accepted, the quality, is promoted, and the numbers will speak.
Thank you very much, Ezekiel. Phenomenal. Tomisi, what's your parting word?
For me would be let us always create a compelling story with data, with track record, because that is what is required for the board to make those critical decisions. So let's, think beyond business as usual. What is the compelling story? You see the business on a daily basis. You might not have a seat in the boardroom, but eventually you provide the data that is required for the board members to make those decisions. Can our data be compelling enough? Can the story behind it be compelling enough so that we as a board, we are forced to make the best decision for the organization at the end of it?
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Tomisi. And then, Temitope.
It's going to be very short one. So I'll say to two categories of persons, those within the board and those outside of the board. If you're seeking growth, whether personal growth or corporate growth, think value addition. Think adding value to whichever organization that you work with, that you're supporting. Right. And that's the way growth will naturally follow. Right. And with that, I would say thank you, Lord Joe, for having me here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for the time and the patience. And we hope it's very impactful and insightful for you as well. Watch out for the next episode. You can follow us on joesandives.com. And if you have any questions for any of our speakers, please send your questions to info@joesandives.com. Have a wonderful one.